We are hopeless, selfish creatures, and we need a savior.
She was a total heathen.
All right, we're doing a podcast. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of an Exmo
and an Evermo
Walk into a Bar. I'm Kate. This is my co-host Erika, and we are shooting from Land of a Thousand Hills Coffee Bar.
We were going to launch right into our episode today and tell you what it's going to be about. And we're going to do that in just a second. But we're actually going to start with a little bit of a love fest because we are feeling so much support from the community. There's a really great group of people here in Daybreak that are part of the Daybreak Business Networking Association,
which is a part of South Jordan, Utah, is where we're filming from.
Yeah. So we have like some people that come around and watch the episode being shot, but they also support us in lots of other ways. So first we have this lovely charcuterie that was put together by Land of a Thousand Hells. It is delicious. We had one last week and we're just so grateful for it. It's really nice. And you're going to see us probably noshing throughout the episode.
Yeah. The board itself was made by Pugs and Coffee. She is a business owner and makes beautiful boards. And she also does these engravings, etchings. So we got these cute little tumblers with our logo on it, the two Nomos.
Yeah.
And also Land of the Thousand Hills on the back, which is awesome.
And we just got these today as gifts, as a surprise here. We're the only ones that have, I think, both of the logos on it, she said. And the very first ones with the Land of a Thousand Hills logo. So we're super grateful and we'll be drinking out of these today.
Yeah. Ready? Here we go.
Even got like an open and close.
I know. Salute.
Yeah, early cheers to deconstructing Mormonism.
We also want to give a shout out to Rising Moon Minerals, which is another local business here. The owner gifted us these beautiful amethyst rocks, which is awesome because purple is our power color.
Yeah, both of us. And
my favorite stone. So it works. And what does it bring to us?
I can't remember what she said.
Peace and calm.
I think it was oh no. It's okay. It survived.
It's supposed to bring peace and calm.
We were pretty calm throughout that. Yeah.
There we go.
But anyway, they're absolutely gorgeous. So we are just feeling the love, and we just wanted to give a shout out to lots of the people in our community that are helping us and supporting us, and that are just wonderful people, and a wonderful reason that we love shooting here and being here. And it's just really nice. It's just really nice and warm. It's a nice way it was a nice way to start today and show up to some surprise gifts from some really lovely people and friends. So thanks to everybody.
Thank you very much. So today's episode, it has a title. This is called "If Mormon Were a Color, It Would Be Beige." Let's talk about that. Let's break it down, Erika.
Let's break it down. So both of us have a bunch of different experiences around this beigeness. You from obviously within
growing up in Utah.
Growing up in Utah, and me as someone who came here as a Nevermo and experienced the lovely landscape of culture that is Mormonism in Utah. And I'll start with this. When I was working at my job at a performing arts organization, we were going to celebrate Christmas. And one of the ways we were going to do that was we were going to get our whole team together and take a picture for social media with our ugly Christmas sweaters on. Benign enough, right? So one of the people on the team wanted to wear an ugly sweatshirt that said something like "Party like it's Jesus's birthday." She herself was either ex-Mormon, still Mormon with her toe in, or maybe Jack Mormon, which means Mormon, but they drink alcohol. And she definitely didn't wear garments. And we've talked about how you can tell that someone's not wearing garments if you see a little shoulder or something like that, although that's changed.
Yes.
But anyway, so she was within a part of the Mormon church, and she said, that she wanted to wear the sweatshirt. And someone else on the team said, no, you cannot wear that sweatshirt. You're going to offend a bunch of people. And I was like, what? If you can't party when, for the birth of your savior, when can you party? It should be a joyous time.
And it is if you're into singing hymns at church. and only having an hour, like for Christmas time, if Christmas falls on a Sunday, you don't have to go to church for 3 hours. You go for 1 hour. That's how you party.
You get to go less?
Yeah.
Oh
Because
my
you have to go be
goodness.
home with your family, right?
Because
But you
it's Sunday?
Because it's Sunday. And like normally when I was growing up, church was 3 hours. Now it's 2 hours. But they would say you only go for the sacrament meeting for 1 hour to party on Christmas. And you would hear the choir sing hymns. So yeah, we celebrate by sitting in the pew and listening to people sing hymns.
But the sweatshirt is so offensive.
Right.
The idea that someone might party or celebrate or be jubilant or joyous. So then I was running around our house singing Christmas carols, but like switching the words around. So like doom to the world, like let earth receive her frown. Because I was like, if you can't party when it's Christmas, if you can't, and you don't like partying, doesn't have to be like drinking a bunch of alcohol or like rock and roll. It can just be a joyous, jubilant celebration. I know that Mormons have parties even without those things. So like when your Savior is born, you would think that you could party, but you can't even. You have to be very solemn.
You kind of do. Yeah. I mean, we celebrate with music, but it's very specific to the type of music you could play.
I'm sure it's really exciting.
We get to listen to piano music. We could listen to organ music, maybe a harp.
I like those things.
Yeah. A harp, maybe a flute, a cello, definitely not an electric guitar. And don't you dare bring cymbals or a trumpet. No brass instruments.
No cymbals?
Well,
because is it like a crashing sound? Is that the like,
or no brass? I don't think I've ever heard brass in any of the sacrament meetings that I've been to.
Is that because are they like the devil's instrument?
No, they're just they're not reverent enough.
Oh my goodness. So much beige. Much beige.
So let's talk a little bit about a beige booklet that I grew up with. When I was a youth, we had this pamphlet called For the Strength of Youth. And
I read this.
Yes, the color
was a lot of
beige.
fun, you guys. A lot of fun.
The one that I was familiar with was the one from the 90s, but apparently there was one like back in the 1960s. I'm not as familiar with that one.
Is that the one I read from the 90s?
The one you read was the one I grew up with in the 90s. Yeah. And there have since been like another one in 2011. There was one in 2022 that had been released because, standards change, oddly enough, But we want to break down this beige manual because it taught me not only how to be a youth, but how to be an adult as well.
And that carries over into your life. Well, not anymore. And I do want to talk about that too. Your life from going from not even black and white, but beige, which is like worse than black and white, to color. So we'll talk about that later. But what did you grow up with? What was what couldn't you do?
The standard.
Let's launch in.
Yeah. So the first part was the first presidency will write. They wrote a message to the youth saying how much their Heavenly Father loved them. Of course.
And this was the first thing I noticed about the book. We talked a little bit about this, that there is Heavenly Father and Heavenly Mother. We talked about this in another episode, and Heavenly Mother is rarely mentioned. And as soon as I started reading this pamphlet, the very first thing that they mention is Heavenly Father wants you to do A, B, and C. No mention of Heavenly Mother, of course, which is like wild to me because she's supposed to exist. And usually, like if you think about parents, I mean, if you think about Mormon parents, a lot of times it's the mom that's with the kids. So for all the kids, you would think that the mom would be telling us what we should and should not be doing. But no, dad has to be the patriarch and tell us.
Yes.
Anyway, so what does dad tell us we can and cannot do?
Well, they start with dating. That is very important. Very important that the first standard that they addressed in the 90s was dating. And it was to prepare. The first thing they mentioned right out of the gate is to prepare for a temple marriage. So how do we get to the temple, Erika? What do you have to do to get to the temple? You have to pay.
Like, I don't know. I don't want to go there.
No,
pay tithing.
There you go.
Yeah, so I should know that because we touch on that every episode.
Yes, we do.
Every episode, that is what the church is about, and you're told that this is the thing that you want to do, right?
Oh yeah,
the number one thing you want to do. Do you see the temple for the first time when you get married, or you have temple Is that when do you see the temple for the first
We'll
time?
talk about this in like an episode about the temple in the future.
Okay.
But like,
So stay tuned.
I went to it when I was ready to go on a mission. You can go before you go on a mission or before you get
Right.
married. That's typically what people do. Sometimes if they're mature and they're like, I think I'm ready, then they can go through. But most often it's before one of those.
So one other question. Sorry,
Yeah.
there's so much I don't still know. Thank goodness.
Uh-huh.
But I'm learning more and more.
Mhm.
Are there services at the temple every week? Like people I know go to their ward churches, but are there services at the temple every week, or is that only for like weddings and
No, every day
ceremonies?
you can
Every
go do.
day.
Oh, we'll get into this in a
Okay,
temple
we're going to talk
episode.
about. We'll have a whole temple thing where I digress.
Yes, but it is important for us to prepare to get married in the temple. And growing up, like being taught, I mean, sometimes you learn from your parents or your community, like what to look for in a future spouse, right? Did you talk about this with your parents at all? Like what to look for?
No.
Oh,
No, I mean, my dad is a really nice guy, so I mean, I think they were like, don't like date a douchebag, probably, but like that was pretty much it. And I have two other sisters. We all definitely dated douchebags, but didn't end up with douchebags, thank goodness. But that was pretty much the extent of it.
well, we were told to find a worthy priesthood holder when we get married. So as long as he's like attending his church meetings and he's a worthy priesthood holder, and you need to find someone who shares your faith.
I
to
saw that.
marry. Yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely a big part of the book. And don't hang out with anybody who's not
Yeah,
a part of
well,
your faith, because who knows what could happen to you
Right.
then.
Right. But
They can make you a heathen like me. Look what happened
I know I started hanging out with her, and now all of a sudden I'm drinking these beverages.
in the middle of the afternoon.
No, it's
I'm a bad
insane. Oh, do you know that it was a year ago yesterday that you and I had dinner?
Yes, I know.
We had dinner a year ago yesterday.
Yes, and we definitely need to talk about that for just 1
Uh-huh.
second, because that's kind of the same thing. Before, and we've talked about this, but before I knew Kay, I had met Kay, and she was definitely beige.
I
She
was
looked
so
like
beige.
this.
Probably. Let me try it now.
That's That's exactly it. That was it. When I met her, and then we met up after I saw her TikTok, as we've talked about, and I knew that she was leaving the church, and I just reached out with a little bit of love for her, and we about a month later after I reached out, and I didn't know how that was going to go. I was like, is she going to think I'm some like psycho crazy lady? It was just like, who the hell is this woman? And then we met up, and you just looked like you do now, like a totally
Aw,
different
just
person,
how
all in color, not beige, and
It's my Exmo glow up, is what it is.
and you had a drink, and we talked for like a bazillion hours,
Yeah.
and now we've had probably hundreds of drinks together,
And we can't shut up,
and we cannot shut the
which
fuck
is
up.
why we're here. Anyway, back to dating, shall we? Yeah. So in this pamphlet, they were talking about they encourage the youth to not date till you're 16.
Yep.
Which I remember, like there was like a school dance or something I wanted to go to maybe right before my birthday. And I was like, Mom, Dad, can I go to this? It was like, I was still 15, and Mom and Dad are like, no, you're 15. I'm like, but this is a friend. I have like zero interest in him whatsoever. Nope. You're still 15. You got to wait. Like, yeah,
Oh my
it's like
goodness.
suddenly like, it's the whole idea behind baptism, right? You're 7 years, 11 months, and 28 days, not accountable. But the second you turn 8, then you're accountable.
And the same thing with dating.
Yeah, you're 15 years and
But dating isn't even the same thing as it is for other people.
No.
It's like with like a group, right?
yeah, they want you
have
to date in a group. So here in Utah, I don't know if school dances are like this elsewhere, but if there are any high school dances that the youth go to, they go in groups, like big ass groups. Like there will be maybe sometimes 20 couples that'll go together.
I think like that's not totally unusual.
Oh,
We
okay.
would, I mean, you would go usually with a date, but you
Yeah.
might go with a group of friends, or
Okay.
like I remember maybe even going. I went to junior and senior prom with like with a date, but also with a group of people, but
Oh,
also
okay.
partly because the limo was so expensive. We
Yeah.
had to split it with other couples, or we couldn't afford it. So there was that. But we would sometimes go, and I probably went to a couple of dances with just like my girlfriends to go
Yeah.
dance.
Mhm.
So that would happen sometimes. But
Okay,
we
so
definitely got
that's-
to go alone. And we also like snuck off to like make out, which you guys totally did, right?
Other people might have. I did not, because I was a good girl.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Anyway, but with the whole dating standards, like no touching, really, like don't do anything sexual, even with your clothes on. Just stay very, very, very clean and pure because that's really important.
And not even like kissing, right? Like you weren't even really, unless maybe.
I think people would kiss.
Oh, and I want to say this. This is, we didn't talk about this before the episode. I think I may have mentioned this to you in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So where I was working at a university, we had performances. It was a school of the arts. These are college kids. We did the play Silent Sky by Lauren Gunderson, a beautiful play.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a group of college students that came in to see it, as they do. It was mostly for the college students there. There's one scene in it where she leans up and she kisses her partner on the cheek, and it's romantic. It has like sexual undertones, but there's no. I mean, it's very, very PG. The college students went bananas, you guys. They lost their shit. Like, you know, when you're in the 4th grade and you go see a play and you're like, oh, you're like uncomfortable when there's kissing. Like, like it was like that. They were like, what? Like some of them were hooting and hollering. Others were like, oh no. And we had to, for this PG show, we had to put a content warning on this for college students. Yes, we had to add it. We had a whole meeting about it. We need to have a content warning for this, that there's a kiss. These students need to know about it. Bananas. Yes.
Okay, that's
this was early on. This was, I think, it might have been my first year. It was my first year there. And I was like, where the fuck am I?
I saw that show and I didn't even walk out of it. So
there wasn't that bad. Bombs in that one, so
wasn't too bad.
So yeah, that's what the kids are dealing with. That is how beige it is. You can't even, a kiss on the cheek will send them.
That's insane.
Out of their minds. Yeah, totally.
Because we love our Disney. Utahns, Mormons love their Disney because you get to see like the prince and the princess kiss at the end of the show. And that was okay.
But what do you think of, like, I'm trying to remember and I'm not 100% sure. Well, no, I am. So there's first, Jasmine came to mind, right? You can see her belly, her naughty belly.
Yeah, I wanted to cover that.
She was in a shell bikini, the little slut.
She kind of was.
So what did you think of that? Did they sit you down and say, like, this is really inappropriate?
No, nobody sat me down and said it, but I was just like, oh, I'll let it pass because good morals are being taught here, which they're really not. We can talk about like Disney movies another time. But anyway, so dating was the first of these standards in the booklet. The second is modesty, because we know modest is hottest, if you're a member of the church. And
that's a thing to say.
There's a quote here from the pamphlet. If you choose to wear an immodest bathing suit because it's the style, it sends a message that you're using your body to get attention and approval, and that modesty is not important. So I always thought it was so weird. Like, it's okay to wear a swimsuit when you go swimming. Like, Mormons go swimming. It's totally fine. A one piece is what you need to wear.
And I
But
have
otherwise, no.
And I have seen a couple of bathing suits here. I think we were at Tibble Fork, and it's crazy. It's kind of an interesting place because it's the gamut of people there. Women.
So Tibble Fork is for those of you who aren't.
Yeah, it's this beautiful space. It's way up in the mountains. It's gorgeous.
It's a reservoir.
It's a reservoir, and it's way up in the mountains. Really, really beautiful. But when you go there, because of sort of where it's situated, and I won't say too much about it, but like there's a gamut of people. So you'll see women in like literal thong string bikinis with like very little left to the imagination, if anything. And then when we were there, we actually saw one. She was a young girl. So she was probably, I would say like maybe 12 or 13 in a bathing suit that went to her wrists and to her ankles. She was completely covered up.
Her ankles?
Yeah, it was like a jumper bathing suit. And there were a couple of girls like that. And then there were some women who were wearing like a tank top, like a tank top and shorts, like in pretty long shorts. They weren't even necessarily bathing. They're basically clothing that like could sort of function as a bathing suit.
Sure.
So yeah, there was that, but definitely you're not supposed to. Yeah, I mean, you can, I guess, like Mormons do. You can take off your garments for those moments, right?
Yeah, you take your garments off for swimming. I think you leave them on for exercise.
No, I heard. I saw a video the other day. We have to talk about this.
Okay.
And I'll post this video. So I saw this video. It was a university. I won't say which one here and now, but they interviewed the kids there about would they rather go without their garments for a day or commit arson. You guys, burning people's houses down, ruining lives, possibly murdering people, and all but I think one or two, I think just one of the students said, I'd rather commit arson. And one was like, actually, that'd be really fun. I was like, I'm worried about you, girlie. But
because the garments are just holy and they protect you, except for when you're swimming, in which case it's totally
in which
fine.
case you can take it off. And one person, that was his loophole. He said, well, I don't think I'd have to commit arson because if I exercised all day, I wouldn't have my garments.
I was the type who did wear her garments when
course
she
you did.
exercised.
I'm shocked. Kate. What? A rule follower? No.
Yeah, that's all gone. Anyway, other things in the pamphlet, they also talk about friendshipping, and you kind of touched on this before. They want you to choose friends with common values. And then in the same section, it says, invite your non-member friends to church activities where they can learn about your standards and the principles of the gospel. So in other words, when you're a teenager, you're supposed to have fun with your friends, experiment, figure out who you are. Nope, we need you to be a recruiter for us. We need you to be a missionary.
Yeah, but I will say, in fairness about that, how else would they make money? They have to have people coming in.
That's true.
I'm making a joke.
I do know.
It's ridiculous. They even have, I mean, it's enough that you're told you have to have lots of babies that are going to tithe. It's enough that as soon as you're 18, you go out on a mission. If you're a boy, maybe if you're a girl, but really you should be making babies by that point.
Yeah.
And not that's not enough for them. They also need you to, as a teenager, not be out having fun, be a sentinel and get those other kids and drag them in.
Yeah.
Anyone who's a non-member, you can sort of hang out with them only if your end goal is to get them to pay money. I mean, become members of the Mormon church.
Or to just conform to your standards so then you can hang out with them, right?
Which you'd have to be a member of the church. And that's another thing I've heard a lot here too. And I just saw a post the other day from someone trying to figure out how to deal with their poor kid. And this is one of the crappy things about living here is you see all this sort of shit. But this woman had a kid and they are either not Mormon, ex-Mormon, or have never been Mormon. And this woman was kind of beside herself because her, 10, 11, 12-year-old daughter was told by one of her friends, I can't hang out with you anymore because my mommy says you're a bad influence.
Yeah. That happens more often than we know.
And again, cult tactic, because then there's a lot of pressure on the people who aren't members of the church to become, at least so their children can be accepted and not ostracized.
Or when people leave the church, they continue to stay part of it. So their kids don't lose friends.
Right. And what is that?
A PMO,
Yeah.
physically and mentally out.
Yeah. But the church is still raking that in. So that's a really great tactic for them to at least still be able to make their money. And that's very important.
You don't have an issue with the way the church brings in their money, do you?
I'll just say, I mean, that we've talked about our whys, but that is one of the things that's it just really hurts me to see people taken advantage of. Yeah. Also, this church can fucking make bank. It sucks. And all of the things that happen around that, that poor girl who's now ostracized by her friends, as if being in junior high isn't hard enough.
Right.
Now she's also ostracized because she's not a member of the church. And it's very calculated. All of it is very calculated. It is a playbook. It's a cult playbook. And it hurts my heart to see how people are treated in the name of this. And the church doesn't care. They don't care about you. They only care about making that money. And yeah, like that's why I want to do this, because it's damaging and it sucks. Anyway, beige.
Beige. In the standards, or the book of standards, they also say that honesty is important, and I will wholeheartedly agree with that. It'd be nice if they were to like follow
Be
that same
honest.
counsel. but I do appreciate how I was taught to be honest. Although we had an experience yesterday where I was like, let's just be honest, just to say how it is. And Erika's like,
You don't like, sometimes it's better like to not. Sometimes you have to find another way.
I know, I'm honest to a fault, learning how to not be.
Honesty generally is good. I'm honest, I would
Yes.
say 98% of the time. But, you know,
At the risk of hurting someone else's
I wouldn't hurt
feelings.
someone's feelings.
Yeah.
If someone is like, you know, does this make me look fat or something? If we're going out and I'm like, oh, maybe change your clothes, but I'm not going to say, yeah, you know.
Right.
But there are times for white lies. There are times.
Right.
But generally, honesty is a good policy.
Yeah. Great. The next part
love these
is
olives, by the way.
Yes, you and your olives. You can have those olives, and then you can drink with them
I
too.
probably will.
The next part is language, and in the booklet it says profane, vulgar, crude language or off-color jokes are offensive to the Lord. They harm your spirit and degrade you. So I was the type who never said anything more than hell. Maybe I threw out a damn a couple of times until I turned 45. I kid you not.
That makes total sense. And it's wild to be here and be around adults who won't, a lot of them even say hell. And I will say, I was in a meeting once at work, and there was this project that we were doing, and we had these like giant balloons for it. It was it was like Christmas ornaments or something. So then we had these giant balloons. But what was happening is during the day, the sun would come in these giant windows and these balloons
Pop
would
them.
explode.
Mhm.
And it was a really loud noise. And I was in a meeting and it scared the crap out of me. And I like ducked down and I was like, oh shit. One of the people in the meeting looked at me and was like, and I was like, well, I thought the building was exploding. Like, shit seems like an appropriate thing to say. This is an adult. Oh, and one more thing about this. Sorry. There was someone else's office. I was in their office. We were talking about something that had happened on another campus that was incredibly racist. It was all over the news. And it was these kids who were really, 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 really nasty to a person of color at their school. And we were kind of talking back and forth. And I think I said, oh, you know, these kids are shitheads. And this person who he was probably in his 50s lost his noodle. And he just like, he was like, and I was like, you're like, you know, when you're 9 and someone says like duty head, and you're like, you said duty head. Like, I mean, I was in this person's office, like super professional, very high up in this organization. And I was just like, what is happening right now? Like, and maybe shithead isn't the best thing to say in the workplace, but once in a while, if someone's being a total racist, like a little shithead might slip out.
Right. There's a studio that produces a lot of really good, clean, family-friendly material. And for a while, there were people that were like editing movies and videos, taking out the swear words and one thing and another to make it more family-friendly. There was a lawsuit they had to stop because, you know, breach
Oh, I
of
heard
copyright.
about this. Yeah.
But I remember seeing a commercial for this years ago. Like there's a family sitting in white on a couch. Have you seen this?
No,
But there's this family sitting on white, sitting on the couch watching a movie, and then they showed like something from Gone with the Wind. You know, when Clark Gable says, "Frankly, Scarlett, I don't give a damn," which was the first time like profanity was in any film, and it showed like a paintball being like thrown at a member of the family, like, oh. A swear word. And then as we progress with media and things get a little bit more gnarly, you know, they get a little bit more liberal in their language, then all of a sudden the family is being splattered with all of these paintballs and the whole message was, you don't want this to happen to your family, do you? So you need to subscribe to these family friendly materials that we're providing for you, this media.
Oh my fucking God.
Erika, you're hitting this paintball. I am no longer pure. My ears.
Oh, sweetie, that ship has sailed.
Yeah.
So I have like, I have a different but similar story, like in the same vein. I'm currently getting my master's degree at Southern Utah University, and I will say that this class, I actually really really like the professor. I know that he is Mormon. He's pretty cool. We had like sort of an offline discussion about it, and he's cool. So I don't want to like diss on him because he was a really good professor and actually has been my favorite professor there so far.
Cool.
But I will say, they're graduate level courses. We have these materials. This was a pop culture class. So we had like a bunch of pop culture sort of videos to watch and like different just sort of examples that they were giving for different things. And then we have reading about pop culture. I'm going to say it again. This is a grad level class. All of the swears were edited out of anything that we watched. And then in the reading, he missed one. There was one like shit or something. And I was like, oh, but in the reading, it was blacked out. Like we have like PDFs, like photocopied PDFs to read. And anything that had any language in it from pop culture, hell, shit, damn, fuck, whatever, was blacked out, which I can't like. I mean, just don't go to school. Like it's bananas.
Which is why a lot of parents do homeschool their kids here. Because
well, they don't have to. They can send them to Southern Utah University. They're not going to hear a damn swear word. Bananas. Fucking bananas.
Right. So the next part is about media. We just talked about that a little bit. But the title here in the 90s was movies, television, radio, video cassettes, books, and magazines. So clearly they've had to update this manual to get
no
line.
Pornhub, right?
No,
which is actually illegal in Utah now.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Pornhub is?
Well, I think you have to sign in, or you have to like basically like give all of your information away. And then I think eventually, I think Pornhub said we're not going to do this. They actually pulled out of Utah. See what I did there?
I see what you did there.
I think don't quote me on that, but I think that's what ended up happening. But it is not available, I think. And if it is available, you have to like basically sign all your. They'll have a registry of who your dirty ass is.
Yeah, because pornography is bad. Back in 2016, the governor of Utah declared as a public health crisis pornography. He was a member of the church, clearly, but that was a public health crisis, not the air in Utah, because the air quality in Utah is shit.
There's sometimes you cannot see your hand in front of your face. The air quality is so
really
bad. I'm
shitty.
not exaggerating. You can see the smog. Like I lived in LA. LA is like pristine compared to here in the winter.
Yeah, that was an advertise. That was an ad for Utah. Utah. No, it's fine in the summertime. It's just winter gets bad.
I'm not dissing on it, but here, like in in between in the Wasatch or like Salt Lake Valley, all the way up to Utah Valley, it just settles in the winter.
Yeah,
and there are times you can see your hand, I guess, but you can't see across the street.
Right.
Literally, I have photos where you cannot see across the street. The smog is so bad.
Yeah, it's pretty gross. But the point of that is like pornography. I mean, right now I'm like, who cares what somebody does in their own bedroom, right? If it was maybe SA, if it was sexual assault, is a public health crisis, great.
Yes.
If it is, there's rape or incest or something where you're hurting someone else, that could be a public health crisis. But what somebody does in their own bedroom,
but like, yeah,
why?
it's totally wild, and we've talked about sort of things that can be, problematic. Like lots of things can be problematic. Drinking can be problematic. It also you can be responsible about it. There are lines to walk as with anything. With sugar can be problematic. Like there's, and I think that porn can be problematic. Porn can be addictive. It can be damaging to relationships. It also can be a lovely part of a relationship, or like when you're single, like that's, and I did say there was someone I knew where I was working And we had the soda conversation, and she launched into, well, there's lots of things that Mormons can be doing to make themselves healthier. We need to really look at our sugar content, and we need to look at the foods that we're eating and exercise, because, just avoiding coffee isn't, the end. And we need to look at it. And she said, and avoiding porn. And I said, oh, I don't think porn is necessarily bad. She went, oh, I would have to think about that. But I totally, she expected me to be like, yeah, fuck porn. Like, that's gross, right? And I was like, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. And she really, good on her for thinking about it for a second. But she I looked like I literally shoved her, because she was like,
You're the first person I have ever heard say that.
And it looked like she was actually thinking about it for a second. Like, what is bad about something is bad. She was trying to find the thing to say. It was interesting.
Yeah. So as for the media and the movies and all of the things, it's changed now with social media, which is why they've had to come out with other booklets and pamphlets. But the idea was just make sure you stay worthy of the spirit. Like, anything that you consume should be wholesome and uplifting, right? I remember when The King's Speech came out, with Colin Firth, and it's
the movie
King's Speech came out. You remember?
Yeah. It was a beautiful movie.
I really, really wanted to see it. It was really wanted to see it. It was rated R. It was rated R, and I really wanted to see it, but I couldn't just. And I'm a grown ass adult at this point, right? I have children. I'm a grown up, but I just couldn't reconcile in my head. How am I going to see this? Oh, thank goodness for the movie theaters here in Utah. They released a PG-13 version of The King's Speech. And it's only rated R because there's this one part where the character gets so frustrated that he just can't speak. He's struggling. He's a speech. So yeah, he has a speech impediment. And so as part of it, he just there's this huge stream of profanity. He's like, fuck. And that was why it was rated R. So when that scene came on in the PG-13 version, it was like, shit, damn, shit. And it didn't have the same impact, but I was like, I get to watch a PG-13 version.
Look at me. Movie. I'm so pure and clean. If I had ended up in that version, I would have been like, what in the fuck hell is going on right now? I'm so annoyed when I watch anything where and we don't really watch things on TV, but if I happen to be traveling in a hotel and it's bleeped out, I'm like, what's it? Pulp Fiction was on once when I was in a hotel room, and every third word was beep, beep. I was like, I can't even understand what the hell is going on. Fiction? It was insane. It was 4 minutes long. It was insane.
I'll bet a Mormon was in charge of that.
Or it was probably a Marriott I was staying at.
Probably
Mormon, right? Yeah.
Anyway, so with all of these things, it says also, this is important too. In this section about media, it says, don't be afraid to walk out of a movie. If it's upsetting. And I'm embarrassed about this, guys. I really am. I was 28 years old when I met my now ex-husband, my first husband.
And he took you to see Bambi, and you were like, oh no, there's a gun.
No, I could see Bambi.
I'm being mean.
I know you are, but I went to this movie with him, and it was PG-13, but I know, but I was okay with that. I could watch PG-13 movies, but then there was something it was one of those crude comedy, stupid things. I wouldn't want to watch that now anyway for different reasons, because I'm like, come on, I need to think, and this is just garbage. But the first opening scene, someone pretended they were having an orgasm or something, and I was just shocked. And I'm sitting next to my future husband there. I'm like, what are we watching? What are we watching? Oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. Can we get out of here? And I walked out of a movie with this guy because I couldn't stay there for this scene. Can you see how I'm so embarrassed by this? I was 28, guys, 28.
In fairness, orgasms are vile.
Yeah.
I will say also, this is a personal thing. And I think you've been able to watch this movie now because we talked a little bit about Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, which my husband and I did go to see here in Utah. It was sort of just after like sort of the big, COVID wave. So people were out and about and like doing things again. And the movie theater was somewhat full. Like there were people there and people were along for the ride. If you've seen the film, I won't give it away, but there's some pretty like funny romantic stuff right in the middle, and you don't expect it. Like it's funny, and the scene is getting crazier and crazier, and then this very crazy thing happens, and everyone in the movie theater was, I think, mostly Mormon, along for most of that ride, laughing, and then this thing happens, and my husband and I were like, "Ah!" And the theater just went, and we were like, "Oh, we're the only people laughing in here." And I was working with your ex-husband at the time, and he went to go see it, and I asked it. I didn't know you very well at the time, and he mentioned that he went to go see it, and I was like, "You saw that?" And he said, "Yeah, I liked it." I said, "There was kind of a crazy scene." He said, "I know, I watched it." And I was like, Did your wife go with you? Because I knew about you, because he already told me you'd walked out of the play with the F-bomb. And he was like, "No, she would never." Little did I think then I would be sitting here doing a podcast with you, drinking wine and saying fuck.
Salute.
Salute.
I mean, fuck to that.
Fuck to that.
Anyway, so now about the next section is about mental and physical health. Remember, this is for the youth. They did give great advice for physical health.
Too bad no one follows it.
Eat nutritious foods, exercise, and sleep. Yay, they got that right. Then they dive into the word of wisdom, saying things that like coffee, tea, and alcohol destroy your physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. Yeah.
I would disagree. I'm having some wine right now and my spirit feels absolutely lovely. And I like, alcohol is one thing, and I can understand why. I have friends who are sober.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that there are lots and lots and lots of reasons that people wouldn't drink, and that's fine. That makes total sense, obviously. Right. And for a religion to say, "Hey, maybe this isn't a great idea. I happen to like it." That makes sense. The coffee, and this is something we've talked about a little bit. And one of the times, I think it was probably about a year, maybe a little bit less than a year after my husband and I moved here from Alaska, we went on a trip to Costa Rica, and I was just sort of like slowly learning all of the Mormon-y things. But one of the things we did in Costa Rica, we went on a spice, like a farm spice chocolate coffee tour. And throughout, we got to like taste all these really wonderful things. And everywhere we went, we were buying bags of coffee to gift to people and trying coffee everywhere. And we woke up one morning and we're sitting on our like little balcony watching toucans or whatever, sipping coffee. And I looked at my husband and I was like, they can't even do this. Like coffee. Oh, it's so good. And there's so many different kinds. There's so many different flavors. And when it's good, it's really good. And we're sitting here in this beautiful coffee shop where lots of people are here enjoying coffee. And that was when it was one of those moments where I was like, these poor people have been stripped of their lives, basically. Like everything about their lives, they can't enjoy it. And I'm wondering, like, this is something that I wanted to ask you. You've been on both sides now. And of course there like on the other side, there are perils. There are STDs, there's bad sex, there's alcoholism, there's getting a DUI. If you're not careful, although you can be careful, there are perils to doing certain things. But you've lived kind of in not even black and white, but beige, and you've lived in color. And like, what's your experience with all that, going from one to the other? Like, do you feel like you're like blooming, or like
the freedom is so delicious? Like I don't particularly like, for coffee, for example, take it or leave it.
Oh,
I guess I haven't had a really good coffee.
She needs to go to Costa Rica.
My Keurig does not provide the best coffee, I guess.
No way.
No, but I mean, for me, take it or leave it. Alcohol. The last time I had alcohol was when we recorded our episode last week. And the next one will probably be when we record the next one, largely because I don't feel like I need it. But the freedom and that ability to do it if I want to without feeling guilty is so good. I mean, I'm also the type that the whole modesty thing was so shaming. And I love not having that shame. So in the summer, as it gets warmer, I will be wearing I'll be showing off my porn shoulders every day because I
Woohoo!
can. And it's just, I feel like an adult is what it is. Because as we're talking about all of these different things here in Mormonism, it's not just that we're living in beige, but they're infantilizing adults.
Yeah.
Because even though this For the Strength of Youth pamphlet is geared toward youth, it's expected to be followed through your adulthood. The only difference between what the youth can do and what adults can do is adults can have sex if they're married. That's it. That's the only difference. Otherwise, we're treating these grown-ass adults like they're little kids.
Yeah. And we've talked about that a little bit too, how they treat, and so one of the really weird tactics of the church is to treat kids like adults and adults like kids. While the kids have all of these rules, sort of put on them, they're also asked to make adult decisions.
Yeah.
Like we talked about,
Getting baptized.
like, do you want to, in one of our previous episodes, do you want to get baptized? Yeah. And so in that instance, children are given a decision, and the church says, you can make this. You have the capability. You're 8 years old now. Mm-hmm. You can make this big girl or boy decision. You make it. So they're treated like adults, basically getting married to the church, but with adults who say, what about this? Or can I think about this? Or I'm having questions. No, you shut that down. You don't have any decision-making capability. And it's very tactical because the church knows that children don't have the ability to make decisions. So they imbue them with the right and ability to make decisions, knowing full well that they can't. And they're going to do whatever their parents tell them to do. And then with adults, they know full well that their cortex is formed and they can make decisions, so they take that decision making capability away from them. Very tactical, very purposeful, and again, all not okay. In favor to that 10%.
Not and the control, just like being able to tell what someone else does. Mm-hmm. Oh, the power that they must feel.
Yeah.
Oof. Do you want to continue with some of the other things here?
We do. Yeah, I think so. And I have another anecdote I want to add. Where I was working, there was a woman who I really actually liked. And there were a lot of people that I liked, but this woman was really sweet. And she was a devout member of the church. And we were talking one day about her sort of experience. And she said something similar to what you've said, which is something like, we are in the world, but not of the world, right? Mm-hmm. Something along those lines. And that she had viewed the Mormon path as being elevated. So it wasn't that you're denied all of these wonderful things. It's that you've risen above them. But her family ended up, with a lot of Mormon families, having a lot of issues. Her son ended up in jail. I'm not sure what he did, maybe some kind of theft, maybe a drug charge. I can't remember. But she picked him up and she loved him and was caring and she was a really, really good person. But when she picked him up, he got in the car when he was released from prison, or she bailed him out. I can't remember. And he said he wanted to listen to a CD or something on Spotify or whatever. But it was, I think it was Bon Jovi. And she was a little, unsure about it. He'd said he wanted to listen to that in the past. And she said, no, we're above this. This isn't what we listen to. But in that moment, when he was released from prison, she said, okay, you can listen to this. It's actually sort of like, it's really sweet. So we put it in, and she said in that moment she could appreciate it. And she saw that it was having like a soothing effect on him. It was music that he liked. And even though it was music that she would have eschewed, stayed away from, she changed her mind in that moment. It was like, oh, we can have these experiences. There are all these other shades. And one more thing I'm going to just say, I was working in the School of the Arts. So I was like all of these people who are working in the arts, and so much of the arts, there is, the beautiful, whatever, angels on a cloud. There are all those, works of art, or, angelic music and this and that. But there are all these other, life is so textured, and it's high and it's low and it's dark and it's bright.
Gritty. Yeah.
And it's gritty. And so there's so much of art that is, gnarly and really, really good to engage with. And I'd look at these people all in the School of the Arts, all part of the arts, but they could only engage with this one very specific part of the arts, which to me was always like, how can you be professors, deans, assistant deans of purveyors of art and only be able to see this like speck in the art world, in music, in the visual arts, in dance? You have to be covered. Like, it just was, it was bizarre and really sad to me. That's my detour.
No, it totally goes into our next part where we're going to talk
perfect.
about music and dancing. In our pamphlet, we're going to go back to that real quick, where it says music may be used for wicked purposes.
I've used it for wicked purposes.
Yeah, I think we all have. So growing up in the
Funky
church,
groove
we
to
had...
funk too. Just joking. I'm going to play that CD for you. It's Jack Black, Tenacious D. It's so
I
good.
have heard some of that since, and I'm like,
You're gonna
oh, this
love
is fun.
It's fun.
I never would have listened to it before. But growing up, we would Mormons aren't so strict that they can't dance, because they do have dances. They have these stake dances, because a ward is like a local congregation. A stake is a group of local congregations. And so they would throw these dances, highly chaperoned for the youth.
Of course.
And the lights were pretty bright. Like, they weren't super dark. The DJs would play appropriate pop music. Lots of line dances are very popular. They would make sure that they would keep it clean and chaperone. And we're going to do a trying moment right now.
And now it's time for a trying moment.
So, Erika, you've not been to one of these stake dances before. Thank goodness.
No, I have not.
So we're going to come over here, and I'm going to show you how to dance like a Mormon. Yeah.
So we're at the stake dance. Hi. You dance with me.
Let me cover up my shoulders.
What we need to do now is we have to make sure that we have not just a Book of Mormon, but we have a quad. And a quad is a Book of Mormon and a Bible and a Doctrine and
So I can get a little closer.
You get a little closer, but we have to have at least a quad between us.
Okay.
All right, ready?
And then,
Put your hands around my waist.
wait, okay.
And ready? Here we go. So, are you enjoying this dance?
Yes, why, yes, I am.
Welcome to a Mormon dance.
Wait, can we do like, because you can't move your hips, right? So like, do you dance like this? Is this a...
Oh yeah, you jump up and down. You can dance up and down. And scene.
So that was a Mormon dance.
Trying moment.
You wouldn't have enjoyed dancing like that?
No, I dance like a total whore.
I cannot wait to go dancing with you.
One of my friends and I, someone that I lived was friends with in Alaska. We went dancing a couple times together, and we miss each other now. As a good friend of mine, every once in a while we'll text each other and be like, "I miss slutty dancing with you."
I never in a million years would have said that.
You will now. We're gonna go dance.
Oh yes,
That's gonna be a trying moment.
We're gonna go
at some
slutty
point.
dancing.
Yeah, we're gonna go slutty dancing. We'll bring you guys along. You can see us slut out. But one thing I want to mention around dancing, another experience that I had where I was working again in a university with college students in the School of the Arts. They were performing James and the Giant Peach, which you would think is like a pretty benign
kids show.
It's a kids show. We were editing a video, and there was a bunch of different clips that were all the same length. And then there was this one clip. I don't know if you can see, try. The kids were going like this.
They were swinging their hips.
They were swinging their hips. And that clip was like 2 seconds long. And all the other ones were like 8 seconds long or something. And I was like, whoa, it was for a promo we were creating. I said, can you go back to that and please, it looks really weird. Can we make that the same length as all the other clips? And the person said, oh, no. That's going to offend some people. And I was like, what?
A children's show?
A children's show where they're just like shaking their hips. And I was like, well, then some people need to get a fucking grip. But that was when I was early new here and was still like, what in the hell is going on? Anyway.
Yeah. So to wrap up the last of this this benign, this very beige pamphlet of For the Strength of Youth, which lasts the rest of your life. They also touch on sexual purity, which we'll get into a complete different episode.
Several episodes.
Several
probably.
episodes.
So stay tuned for that. That's going to be a lot of fun.
They talk about like keeping the Sabbath day holy, not working on Sundays, not shopping on Sundays. And they talk
Which
about
is awesome if you're not Mormon.
Oh, yeah.
And my mouth is full, but
Yeah.
if you're not Mormon and you live here, shopping on Sundays is awesome. It is the one best thing about it's changing.
It's changing because people like me are leaving the church. Ugh.
Oh, and some Mormons
They do
are
it
shopping anyway. But it used to be you could walk into Costco on a Sunday and it was like, oh, the empty. You get your pick of anything. My mouth is so full of cheese right now. Anyway.
Good cheese. But then they also talk about repentance, and that's about it in the booklet. And you take that for the rest of your life. When I was dating at the age of 28, my first husband, I had gone to the singles ward before. You know, we're just us old people who didn't graduate the right way, where we were married right out of high school. And I'm sure I got a little pocket-sized version of this For Strength of Youth manual, and I kept it with me all the time when I was 28. And even while I was dating my husband, I was like, we've got to make sure we follow these standards. He was a convert to the church. He had no idea what the hell he was talking about.
You're like, I'm going to put this right in between us.
That would not be thick enough. I need something thicker.
Do you still have that?
Oh, no. I purged my house of everything.
I wanted to have
related.
a ritual burning.
Oh, no. I already did that already. I did that. I did.
Good on you.
Yes, I did. But anyway, that's pretty much why Mormonism is so beige. Is they don't allow you to have fun or have color. It's
You
conform.
Conform, absolute conformity. You can't do anything. You can't enjoy anything. Nothing beyond PG. Nothing alcoholic.
13 is okay.
PG 13. No swearing. No alcohol. No touching. Oh, it's just sad. I prefer my life in color.
As do I. And so with that, we want to wrap up this episode. And before we do so, we wanted to invite our friends, our community members, our support, our love to join us.
Yeah, have been feeling so much love. This is from Pugs Bang Bang. I'm making so much noise. These are from Pugs and Coffee.
They're charcuterie boards for those of you just listening.
She made them.
That's me.
Michelle made them, and they're absolutely gorgeous and beautiful. And that's what's on here. And that's what they're using here at Land of a Thousand Hills Coffee. I'll let you guys introduce yourselves.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm Amber, Land of a Thousand Hills Coffee. Come visit us.
She's such a badass and so awesome. And this place is just so warm and lovely and wonderful feeling. And we've been having such a really good time shooting here.
And Jamie?
And I'm Jamie with Rising the Minerals, and I provided them with a beautiful amethyst stone.
And what did you say they do?
They are good for bringing in peace, connecting you to your third eye so you can see what you're capable of.
Oh,
Hell yeah.
Yes.
This is going to be awesome.
Just put it
Thank
right
you.
here.
Third eye. Anyway.
And then we didn't, do you want to introduce yourself too? We sort of talked about the boards a little, but.
Hi, I'm Michelle. I own Pugs and Coffee. We make custom gifts to include these fabulous charcuterie boards.
Yes. And we are just so grateful for all this love. So with that, ladies, we'd like for you to join us as we say, cheers to deconstructing Mormonism.
High five.
Yay for the high fives. Woo! Cheers.
Thank you.